Hello guys, we know that the Russian soldiers have lost access to Starlink. Somehow, these Russian soldiers on the front lines were actively using the technology of the enemy, of what they describe as the Rotten West. This is such a classical Kremlin hypocrisy when they fight against the West, against Ukraine, against NATO, using Western NATO technologies. But thank God not anymore. So hundreds of thousands of them are without internet that they desperately needed for the coordination of their decisions, their actions, and simply access to the information from their command centers that are traditionally deep inside the Russian RIA. You know, the Russian generals are similar cowards as their Kremlin dictator. But now, somehow, the Kremlin decided to make the situation even worse by slowing down Telegram. This is the main messenger that the Russian soldiers were actively using, including on the front lines, and now it is dead for them. Tons of very evil messages now flood all the Russian internet from these soldiers, from their families, trying to understand what is happening. Why did they decide to turn off this channel of communication, the main channel of communication? And the answer comes in these best traditions of the Cold War. They decided to switch off Telegram to protect the Russian army from the NATO influence. What was NATO doing in that Telegram messengers? Perhaps we will never find out, but we definitely know this is a perfect moment for the counteroffensive. And that is exactly what the Ukrainian army is doing right now in the regions of Zaporizhia and Dnipropetrovsk. And let's discuss all of these important steps that are taken when the Russian army is experiencing another big failure, and literally a big part of it comes directly from the Kremlin's decision. My name is Anna, I'm from Ukraine, I'm in Ukraine, and if you want to see the defeat and demilitarization of what is left of the Russian army, subscribe and share these videos to spread the truth and demonstrate your solidarity with Ukraine. Honestly, without any exaggeration, right now, the Kremlin does more for the collapse of the Russian Federation, their economy and their army than any Ukrainian ally or even maybe all of Ukraine. They are super effective at destroying their own country. And if Starlink was a decision of the United States, of Elon Musk and the new Ukrainian Minister of Defense, Fedorov, who I believe is a great communicator because somehow in this chaos, misunderstandings, he managed to reach Elon Musk directly. Many of you observed their communication on X and the result is obvious. Thousands of Russian terminals of Starlink are off. It happened during one day, and all the Russian propagandists, all the Russian military experts could not believe this was happening. But please remember this greatest hypocrisy of the modern Russia. They keep saying they are fighting against the United States, against NATO, against the rotting West as they describe it, but they are fighting using the technologies that were developed there. Starlink is definitely not the product of Roskomnadzor. It is a foreign, we may say, using Kremlin's dictionary, enemy technology that they were totally dependent on. And right now they are trying various solutions. They want to trick some Ukrainians into registering terminals, but this will all fail and definitely won't substitute what they had before. And by the way, I'm surprised that it took so long, the Ukrainian decision makers, to negotiate this problem and find the solution. So thumbs up to the new Ukrainian Minister of Defense, Fedorov. Without Starlink, they were lost. They were not able to get the information they need to see the situation around them, to target drones, because you know drones use internet. And now another blow, but coming from the Kremlin. Telegram channels and Telegram Messenger is slowing down and literally off on the front lines. And the Russian army was using it as one of their main channels, perhaps the main channel for communication between soldiers, between units. And they literally do not understand what is happening. Durov commented on this, comparing Russia to Iran, but personally I do not trust Durov. He is definitely close with Putin, or at least he was, and what is happening right now is quite unpredictable, but it proves that the state of the Russian economy, the state of the Russian army, and the panic inside the Kremlin is so bad that they literally switch off all channels of communication with the world, or at least in between these Russian families, Russian units, Russian regions. They want to push everyone to switch to MAX, which is state-developed messenger with full control of FSB people. Perhaps literally every chat is a group chat involving you, a person you're talking to, and assigned to you FSB officer. So anyway, Russian soldiers are shocked, and they are without any connection with each other on the front lines in a foreign, and I have to say, very alien towards them, or how do you, what is the best word to say, country. We are protecting our borders. We need our 1991 borders, and right now, of course, the Ukrainian armed forces are using this perfect storm for a counter-offensive. And we observe serious movements taking place in Dnipropetrovsk and Zaporizhia regions, and all in directions near Pokrovsk, near Gulay-Pole, near Ternuvate, and everyone in Ukraine is observing very closely what is happening there. But the Kremlin now is frightened. They did not predict anything like that coming. I mean, the Starlink, they are promising new technologies to be developed. They are bringing big, like plates or satellites, but they are very visible. They are not working properly. And most importantly, during these 4 years of the full-scale war, Putin personally promised that they will have the the Russian connection, their own internet, and they failed, just as they failed to substitute aviation, to substitute airplanes and jets, just as they fail with their banks and the protection of their tankers and oil and gas revenues, and even soldiers. No more volunteers to join the criminal Russian army, especially now when there is no Starlink and there is no Telegram communication. And everything is like super connected. And honestly, the thing that is very tired, a little bit drunk Russian top military officials who are definitely very far away from the front lines make announcements like they need to protect the Russian population from NATO interference. That's why they turn off Russian messenger. Well, just imagine how those soldiers, how their families feel, understanding that, all of this Russian Federation is on the brink of a very, very big collapse, and perhaps they are already looking for the creatures to blame, and Putin is number one. That's why the coup against him is very realistic, and that's exactly what we discuss on Anna Danilchuk channel that I remind you to subscribe to. Also follow me on X, Instagram, Blue Sky, Threads, Discord, and on Discord we'll launch a new very interesting campaign. The idea is not mine, but of one very special person. I encourage you to share photos of you wearing our merch, t-shirts, caps, whatever you choose, and sharing yourself in these beautiful locations of the world where you live, where you travel, of course, if you feel like. But proving that you are acting ambassadors of Ukraine and receiving a lot of our love, likes, and support. Thank you once again. Check the merch, the link in the description. 2 new spring Valentine collection that also reminds about the war is already available. And thank you so much for buying me coffees, becoming my patrons and sponsors of the channels. But most importantly, thank you for standing with Ukraine. Slava Ukraini!